Yeah, I mean, I guess the big story right now is that the market seems to be there's a different energy in the Bitcoin Treasury company landscape right now. MNAVs have been compressed globally down to one or close to for most Bitcoin Treasury companies. Some Bitcoin Treasury companies have been, compressed to below one, and the capacity to fundraise for many Bitcoin Treasury companies has ground to a halt. But the leading Bitcoin Treasury companies in different capital markets in the world are starting to show signs of, what I would describe as uh, investors buying what looks like a bottom, right? Like, I think we're seeing that with Metaplanet in particular. I think the reality of it is Metaplanet is the largest of the sort of new breed of Bitcoin Treasury companies, the ones that have grown from nothing, basically everybody after strategy. And obviously Metaplanet's been on a very volatile 2.5 months at this point. Well, volatile always, but the downside of the volatility has been playing out for Metaplanet. They've finished their international offering, which may have been part of what was contributing to this, short selling. And on top of that, they were probably being attacked by hedge funds who don't fully understand the model. I would assert, don't understand the concept of Bitcoin yield, or why that would justify why a track record of delivering Bitcoin yield would justify paying a premium versus the Bitcoin assets on the balance sheet. I think it's pretty obvious to Bitcoiners who are willing to pay a premium in order to get more Bitcoin in the future that that's justifiable. But I think that's been the angle that hedge funds have um, used to come up with their thesis over the short term here, to attack the premiums in Bitcoin Treasury companies. But now, the MNAVs have compressed close to zero, close to one now. That trade seems to have played out, right? And I think what we're seeing now is shorts covering and other investors who are seeing through the fear of the moment and seeing the numbers and thinking, you know what, actually, this might be the time to buy when there's blood in the streets.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we're seeing that with Metaplanet. I think we're probably seeing that with Smarter Web. I mean, today there's a lot of volatility in our stock price, as it's bouncing around and people are stepping in to buy, and the price is up a bit. And I think we're sort of seeing the signs that you might expect for when tide starts to turn, sector wide, and in particular for the very healthy Bitcoin Treasury companies like Metaplanet and like Smarter Web.
Jesse, I have a question for you because I just got to Argentina from New York. I was in the airplane and I was reading. Actually, one of the things I was reading from a good analysis from our friend Sinks, who was saying the average KGAR for FTS 250 companies is 5%, which makes me like really confident and bullish on what we can achieve here with SWC. What's your view? Like, I mean, and for everybody watching this, like here we're talking more long term and so on. But
Yeah.
what I was seeing when I saw this, I was like, oh my god, like the chances of getting in the FTS 250 are actually really, really, really high if the bar is this low for something like SWC. What's your guys' view and opinion on this?
Yeah, absolutely. I love that Zink's called attention to that. It's a great way to think about Bitcoin Treasury companies in your portfolio. I mean, our perspective is that the best thing that a public company can do for its shareholders is add Bitcoin to the balance sheet,
Mm-hmm.
because our view is that Bitcoin will continue to appreciate at 30 to 50% CAGR, and basically no other business is going to be able to do that. Outside of a few real exceptions to the rule. And so that's a winning formula for growth, for the value of your company, and as a shareholder for the value of your investment. And when you put that in comparison to what fiat companies are able to do in the UK in particular, with that comparison, 5% a year is not great. It's quite bad, especially if, you know, Bitcoin delivers 20% a year. You know, that's a 4x underperformance. So that's part of why we think that Smarter Web is in a great position in the UK to be a story of success and a real leader in capital market success in the UK over the coming years, because we have what we think is the right idea here. We should be accumulating Bitcoin for the benefit of the company and our shareholders. And that's a winning formula for any company in the world right now, and nobody's doing it. We're the leading company in the UK doing that, and we fully plan on continuing to accumulate as much Bitcoin as we can in ways that are accretive to shareholders, so delivering Bitcoin yield. And that, I think, will bear out, you know, in terms of our performance relative to other companies in the UK. And it's a great point too that, you know, when internally, when we talk about what we're excited about for the outlook of the business, there's several catalysts on the horizon that that we think are exciting. You know, we aspire to be in the FTSE 250 and then eventually in the FTSE 100. Those are the, you know, the top 350 and then the top 100 businesses in the UK on the LSE, and that's automatic, right? That's a rules based formula. With the S&P 500, it's committee based, so there's opinions and politics, and strategy just got overlooked because of those politics for S&P inclusion. But to get into the FTSE 250, you just have to check the boxes and, you know, meet the rules. And the cutoff there is to be a 420 million pound market cap company. We're currently like 300 million pounds. So, you know, either our MNAV increases or our Bitcoin holdings increase, and in some amount of time we would qualify if we happen to be on the LSE. And it is our aspiration to be in the FTSE 250 and 100 eventually, and eventually one of the largest businesses in the UK. And then eventually we think the winning Bitcoin Treasury company in the UK will be the largest company in the UK by market cap. And we think we're in position to grow into that place.